Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m., Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kiza Besije every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are the Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Good evening, Uganda. Welcome to this edition of the Hotline Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karahanga. On this 16th day of December, the year is 2024. We are coming to the end of this particular year, and I hope that some of the things or some of the goals that you set for yourself as we're starting the year, you're starting to achieve them if you have not yet already achieved them. But even if you haven't, there is still more time, and of course the next year is also right here. So you still have time to rebuild. That is something that we continue to emphasize right here on Digitalk TV. In this edition of the Hotline Show, we look at Mr. Museveni and the President's assessment tours all over the country. Mr. Museveni has been traversing various regions in Uganda, and of course he's looking or assessing the impact of some of the wealth generation schemes that he has emphasized, especially parish development model, the 4-acre model system, among other income generating ideas. President Museveni has been in various regions. He started in Karamoja region, where he was in districts like Queen, and of course we saw a couple of beneficiaries here and there trying to show some of the things or some of the profits that they have incurred through getting the knowledge and the wisdom that has been shared to them by Mr. Museveni. He has also been in the Sebe sub-region, and of course there are a couple of members here and there trying to show some of the fruits that they have over the time they have been implementing some of the ideas that Mr. Museveni has been advising. Tomorrow, the 17th up to the 19th, Mr. Museveni is going to be in Bugisu sub-region, where he is also going to be checking on some of the beneficiaries here and there. Now the question is, what exactly are we looking out for, especially in these projects that Mr. Museveni has been supporting? When we talk about the corruption in these particular projects, is this something that we are looking out for or trying to fight? And of course, is this practical? Is the PDM, the idea of each parish receiving 100 million, really feasible enough to get Ugandans out of poverty? Is President Museveni actually politicking? Because some of the people believe that as he's traversing the country, he is actually campaigning. That is a narrative that some political players have been having. We look at that, and of course we look at some of the things that may have not worked well, and of course commend some of those efforts that we can say have worked well to help Ugandans fight poverty. In other news, Dr. Frank Nabu, former Member of Parliament and chairperson of the Forum for Democratic Change, died or passed on Saturday last week. The country is remembering this gentleman for the efforts that he has done to make Uganda a better place. He was once a legislator, and in the previous elections he stood for mayor for Jinja City. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to win that particular position. So After this gentleman serving the country, how will he be remembered? And of course, some of the ideals that he stood for, are they still here? And of course, how best can we achieve the vision of that gentleman? Then also, if you were candid on social media last week, there is a video that was surfacing where a couple of policemen were flogging an elderly woman and of course trying to drag her in a manner that is really disrespectful, or that mode of arrest was really uncalled for. After this video surfaced, a couple of things have been done by the Uganda Police Force. Mainly, these particular police officers have been dismissed from serving in the Uganda Police Force, and some of them have actually been charged, if not all of them have been charged with cases in court. We shall be waiting on to see what will be happening in that particular regard. We have that and much more tonight. What you can do is send us a message, a comment, a query, a question to our panelists, and we'll be able to give you the feedback as fast as we can. Remember, we're streaming live on YouTube, but also on Facebook. That is at Digitalk TV page, but also at the Alternative Uganda Facebook page and YouTube page. You can look us up on either platforms. Allow me welcome our guests for the evening. On my immediate right, a gentleman from the National Resistance Movement. He is the Director for External Affairs in that particular political party. He is also a lawyer by profession and an advocate, but he's still also a retired major in the Uganda People's Defence Forces. Honorable retired Major Paula Awich, you're most welcome, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much. And good evening to our viewers. My voice is not so clear, but I hope we shall discuss.
It is well, it is well. Baby, how is your week, sir? Before I welcome the guests, we've not had you here for a couple of weeks.
Yes, you have not had me here for a couple of weeks because I was away on an exercise we call NRM registered digitalization. We want to move from analog registry, the local registry in books, in yellow books, to an online registry where if you're a party president, like President Museveni, party chairman, you can ring one Karwanga from Toro,
yes,
and see if he exists and even talk to him. So we are trying to do that, and of course this register helps us in many ways in our primary elections and also in our structures. Remember, the structures are the ones who go to Nambole National Conference to give the flag bearer the flag, without which any flag bearer who comes up would be illegitimate, would be illegal. So I've been there, and I've been heading Acholi region. I was based in Gulu with 9 districts, and we concluded. My other colleagues were in other regions of the country, so I was away. So I lost touch with you.
Okay.
I thought we could have had technology to do that, but we failed to bring it on because I appeared from Gulu on NBS, appeared from Gulu on UBC, and appeared from Gulu on another media. So next time maybe we should take advantage of technology so that we don't give excuse if we have to share views.
Okay.
So it wasn't, otherwise nothing much. As I keep saying, no news is good news.
That's good. On my immediate left, Charles Kazoba. He is the Executive Director for the Center for African Affairs and Diplomatic Studies. You're most welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Karwanga. Hearing the digitalization of NRM register, I was wondering what other parties are up to, because we have a big challenge as a country. You'll find several Ugandans belonging to multiple parties. A person has a card from NUP, card of NRM, card of FDC, and that should be resolved. If each party would digitalize its register, and if you happen to belong to more than one party, then automatically the computer should knock you out. Just like electoral commission, if you register at more than one place, polling centers, you are technically knocked out. You don't become part of the voters. That is what should happen. So NRM
Because political parties have that capacity. Because
that
NRM has
no,
been
but
in
they are
government
getting
for
money.
40
They are
years.
getting money from government. The major ones are getting money from government. There's no reason why they should not commit that money into digitalizing this register, because that is part of the fraud that culminates into tension in the country.
Okay.
So we need to know if this man, for instance, I've been told, it is a rumor that President Museveni is not even a member of NRM. I needed to confirm that. Now that is saying that the register is going to be digitalized, then I can check this Museveni man who's standing for chairman. Is he really a member of NRM? Since when did he register? You understand?
Yes, I get you.
That it creates transparency in politics.
Okay.
But also again on,
Yes, sir.
on my friend Major, as a party, I don't know what they are doing about our foreign service. I don't know whether they have just decided to keep quiet and things just happen the way they are. But since he's in charge of that docket, I think he should write some paper and they improve that area rather than wait for mainstream government agents to sort themselves out. The situation is messy and it needs to be improved.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'll come to you, Mr. Joseph Ocheno from the Uganda People's Congress. You're most welcome, sir. Good evening.
Thank you, and good evening. Yes, I know we've not been here for some time. Comrade Witch, last week, the technicalities did not only catch you, but I think it's a manifest of the infrastructure mess we have nationally. And after 40 years, you guys should be doing better. But on the digitization stuff, it's interesting what James is saying. I wonder how much the cost of this digitization process is. And if you know that NRA money and the National Secretariat is predominantly our national money, I don't know how many of these guys have got how many other political parties have got the privilege that the guys have, with the exception of people like Awich, who are themselves very independent, very professionally driven, and in many cases they're able to drive their own cars. Many of these other people, even if they're government-related vehicles and the public vehicles with these UN, number plates, those are still our money. So I don't know. My view is that that is rather ambitious. What NRA needs to do is to create an enabling environment in which political parties can freely compete. Political parties can have leadership and structures and organizations that are decent enough. From which I have actually argued that in the event that UPC was in government, Charles, if you didn't know this, my view is that I would review the monies that go to wastefully political parties. And of course, you know that if UPC comes into government on the basis of the current arrangement, it would mean that we would have the largest number of members of parliament, so therefore would be the majority party in that one. So the majority losers would be UPC. So I'm saying even if we're in government, and if we're in government, I'll seek to do that. I'll seek to do that because I'm a politician, not somebody who uses politics like Museveni.
To remove that budget?
Yes, I'd like to remove that budget.
Even if you had the majority number of people?
If I will have the mandate, and in any case, I think even as the president of the Uganda People's Congress, with a reasonable platform, I would seek to campaign for public money to stop being wasted on political parties.
Okay.
Clearly, like Milton Obote told Dr. James Ranyarare, a fantastic former chairman of the Presidential Police Commission, who was then our de facto president in Kampala, when there was a discussion between the party secretariat and Milton Bury Foundation. We've always had some of those issues. What I say that, look, focus on managing and governing the party. And the point really is that getting sort of like meaning mad about what's happening in Milton Bury Foundation should not be the responsibility of a party leader. And the point was that party leaders should have the capacity to find alternative sources of funds. So for us, of course, granted, the foundation money is our money, on top of the fact that it's money that we use for our values to support social programs. But likewise, taxpayers' monies should not go on to find our elite privileges as political parties and organizations. A political party worthy of a name and should, led by an organized political leader, should be innovative enough to find ways in which to generate their resources. Political parties generate monies through membership fees and subscriptions, through souvenirs, through local fundraising at branches and constituency, at local governments, and nationally. I have been involved in that. I did that with the Labour Party, and I also did that with the UPC External Bureau in UK. In fact, I substantially supported, as a member of UPC, I substantially supported from my coffers, from my day-to-day earnings, the operations of most of Uganda People's Congress activities in UK. And so, fast forward to here in Uganda, I predominantly, in fact, predominantly, if not fully support the UPC activities around which I'm involved, So it should not be the taxpayers to be able to do that. But the point is true that digitization makes absolute sense. And the detail that James is giving, where you reach a stage where if Edgar is a member of NRM, I can't join him to UPC. That would be now such a highly developed infrastructure, technological infrastructure. It would be very impressive. Again, nationally, it would be less about political parties, but more about how we integrate national information services systems. And that would be called in question of privacy issues. The lawyer here is talking about it, and privacy and what, privacy. And so therefore, access to information. So there will be some legalistic privacy-related issues, but by and large, integrated systems would possibly be government systems, like how governments like Britain, some governments have gone into that, in which for detection of fraud, detection and prevention of fraud, and things like that. Okay. Some of their systems, some of their systems. But I mean, this is a conversation. It's an important opinion. You want to borrow money from a particular bank. Maybe you go through credit checks. Some of them are still much more detailed. But if we get there, it's possibly not bad. But such a far off one for political parties, because I'm not quite sure. Even some of those countries, you do that. Point though, which is fair, is that it's fair that a member of a political party, political parties should have digitized records for their membership, and that there should be mechanisms to check. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure the issue is checking. The issue is really the integrity of politics and membership at the moment. Finally, I have in my petition in the courts an NRA councillor, serving NRA councillor from the Greater Ankole sub-region, who voted for Peter Walobiri in an election in which I was president. So she voted in the UPC election, but she was then already a candidate for district council, and this part of my petition. So some of things are neither here nor there. These guys are doing this thing, smart, going forward, but I see them going to do part of what we are discussing as going to elections.
In just a minute, so that you can just sum up and we start the discussion.
Why, for instance, I insist on digitalization of these registers?
I don't object.
Some parties have acquired membership through manipulation and fraudulent means. There's a party I visited, and when I was getting out, they asked me to go with the membership card. So you have to register your details and then they give you a card. But I refused to, I declined to give them my NIN number because with my enlightenment, you can't easily extort from me. What about these people in the villages who might not know some of these things? That it is wrong, for instance, to belong to more than one political party.
Okay, but you bring a very beautiful idea, but I believe it works favorably in a political environment where political parties are actually thriving and actually doing their work. How many Ugandans even subscribe to political parties? Because that's also another question.
Yes.
I believe you're bringing a solution that would work in a dispensation where the political parties are actually thriving.
But we've already started the process. So
I think that works for the politicians, for the people who want the office.
We do not want to have only NRM with a transparent register, and you have UPC, NUP, and others without actual registers.
But they are not working. That's what I'm trying to say.
They will have to work because they are getting taxpayers' money.
Let's listen
But also in addition,
30 seconds, sir.
Just one thing.
Yeah.
I don't agree with him that parties should not be funded. Actually, my stand is all parties, all registered political parties should be funded equally.
Okay.
Because if there is an equal funding, for instance, NRM getting more, then you are empowering it better than the others.
Oh, okay.
It's better that it should be flat.
Okay.
Let all of them get something.
In 2 minutes, sir, can you please
In
respond
2 minutes,
to
I hope so. First of all, I like the thinking that Ugandans should not belong to two parties. How do we address that mischief in NRM? How we address that mischief, we have not reached the level of technology, but our lowest unit is called a branch, which is a village. So we always write or call village members of the party to see and verify who is NRM and who has double belonging. It is a village baraza, and the village members of the party are supposed to say, you, Kello, you are coming here, but we know you, Kello, you have FDC card. So a village NRM council in a branch is supposed to thrust out that. And even now that we have done the digitalization, we shall still print a book and take to the village, so that the village barazas have a meeting to know, among others, who has double registered.
They know themselves.
They know themselves. It's a village. They know it. So that is, and a village baraza is a must. You must sit. So that is what we do. The danger of making it at a digitalized level with other parties is what the congressman has said, that how do you protect identity theft? If, for example, it was electoral commission to manage, an electoral commission gives guarantee that they would do it, since we register with the electoral commission, they would do it. Therefore, electoral commission system would know that once you're in FDC, don't belong to DP or UPC or something. But for us now, in the absence of a technological arrangement where we have a supreme body which is neutral enough to do it, which in this case it talks of government agencies, but I think the right one would be electoral commission. We do it by doing the village baraza, to be sure.
Yes, sir.
The other thing is Museveni NRM. Yes, Museveni is. For example, when we launched the registry, President Museveni came to Plot 10 in our head office, and we showed him how the registry works. We showed him how he has registered in his village. We could go through the computer and find Yoweri Kaguta Museveni registered in Nyapshos. We show it to him. We
So
did
he
that.
is.
So he is. The messy situation in the foreign affairs, that one can be today. There's so many things coming in the news. As I told you always, no news is good news. And these guys have been in the news, and that one already means it is not good news.
Thank you.
Not necessary to put money in the political parties. It's a debate you better market. But for now,
I know.
it is a debate you better market. But for now, the holding is
It's very
it's
popular.
good, and it is put on
For the eaters.
parties that have money.
Maybe the unequity.
The equity thing, you see right now, I think we have 26 political parties in Uganda. Now, if you put that any political party
All of us,
gets,
let's get to the same.
then
All
you
of us
may
together.
have to also regulate who forms a political party, which in this case would be going against the rights of other people who are free to associate.
Okay.
Because you will end up having 5,000 political
But
parties
if you don't
if
mind,
you don't.
actually,
No,
And
because
but-
of time.
no,
gentlemen,
I know it's time, but this-
please, I request let's move on to the next issue, and I'm going to start with you, sir. The issue of Dr. Frank Nawiso, who left us on Saturday. How do you remember Dr. Frank Nawiso?
As a gentleman who possibly, if things were stable, would have belonged to Uganda People's Congress. But, and I had a conversation with him. But also as somebody who, while, the UPC was away and the NRM guys were breaking political parties, found himself as the early founders of FDC, and he was an exemplary gentleman. Not only was he exemplary, but extremely detailed, extremely intelligent, in fact, extremely knowledgeable. It scares me because there is a genuine passing of a generation. I know the last time I met him, we had actually agreed that we would meet and talk, but talk knowing that there's a fading light in some of their lives, in terms of their generation, but of course I didn't know it would happen this soon. A senior member of NRM told me the other day on the matter of the kidnap of Besigye and trying him in a kangaroo court-martial that Ugandans should realize that that all of us are on the line, that it can be anybody else. And so for Frank Nabiso going, it should really be a wake-up call, particularly to the older generation of Ugandans, that they should take responsibility. We review our conduct, including on how we should be remembered. But sad for his family, sad for FDC, I think sad for Ugandan democratic polity, that includes predominant position, but really democratic polity. But, at his age, born in 1938, he sort of like lived. My worry, though, is that the Nabisos, including those of us from the East and the others had no relationship, are passing on, but I'm not quite sure how many people of my generation and slightly younger are buying enough of what these people are in order to be able to carry the characters and contents that these people are going with, because they're not leaving a lot of those behind. Quickly, I just saw on my LinkedIn page, but something related. A story of a London bus driver called Abdi, that would normally be East African, Horn of Africa, Muslim, possibly refugee settler in Britain, who walked away, I think the other day, as a bus driver, retired as a bus driver after 15 years. And he said that he joined Transport for London as a bus driver without any qualifications, I think without a proper O-level. But as a bus driver, partly because of flexibility, and they're generally quite well paid, he's now got a PhD pending. And this guy listed qualifications, we don't need to go into, listed qualifications which are massively extraordinary. I think over 10 big qualifications, most of which I don't mind actually having in 15 years. But then I say, this is the power of organization, the power of polity, the power of investing in people, the power of possibilities. The Nabisos, including the Nabiso that I spoke to, I remember at a particular hotel in Kampala. These are the issues about investing in people. So I think as these guys go, all of us should continuously reflect that whatever we do, it's urgent that we have a conversation that leads us towards an enabling environment in which we begin to provide for possibilities of investing in our future, investing in our young people.
Okay, let me come to you, Charles, on Dr. Frank Nawiso. As you tell us how you think you remember him or how he's going to be remembered in the country, but you also think the people, the breed of the Nawisos, have we valued them as a people, as Ugandans? Because he was a different kind of mind.
I saw Nawiso some years ago, so many years ago, and I didn't know much about him because he was part of the group then that that had fallen out with Museveni. You remember the days of the early days of Besigye, Reform Agenda, PAFO, and the others before they even became FDC. So I had not really picked a lot of interest. But then one day, somebody tells me that Nawiso was part of the external wing of NRA.
Yes.
And he was deeply entrenched within NRA. He also used apparently to teach soldiers before, I think, going to the bush, before joining Major's group. So he was a teacher at some point. But his beginning was actually media. He used to be a broadcaster at UBC. I think reading Oshoga News. People remember him for that. But like he has told you, he had a very huge appetite for knowledge, and he did. He was quite knowledgeable. The last episode that I witnessed, and he was deeply involved, is the breakup between Mafabi and Besigye. And Nawiso was tasked to conduct, I think, investigations and come up with
an elderly
investigation. And it is his report that actually led to Besigye group and Nandala Mafabi splitting. So Nawiso's last task might have led to the breakup of FDC also. I don't know whether he did it justly or he was biased. That one I cannot determine. But from the way, because I would watch on TV how these guys were responding. The Salama Musumbas, the Rukwago group, they were quite dissatisfied with those findings. And they were very unhappy with the Nawiso inquiry. So I don't know whether he did a good job or not. But he has played his part. Now, Uganda
has valued such people.
And I can tell you, Mr. Karuhanga, never wait for society to appreciate you. Because each one of us have their own challenges. I have always been interacting with people who are knowledgeable, and I always tell them to write books. Write books as several as you can, because they form your legacy. They will tell a story that you will not have to tell when you have gone. The other day I was interacting with Honorable Chamuzi, and good thing he told me he has already written some book on
Yes.
federalism. Now, it is up to each and everybody that is knowledgeable to write a book. I don't see any reason why a white, a European should come to Uganda, spend 6 months, go back to his country, write a book about Uganda. But you, who has been here for 80 years, 100 years, you can't even write 5 books. Why? So, the challenge is upon each one of us. Don't wait for society to glorify you, because it is not going to do it. Every other day, now look at the age categories. Majority of Ugandans are less than 25 years. How many even do understand who Dr. Nabu was? Many of them don't even care, they don't give a damn. But if, in the pursuit of knowledge, they went and read something, the books that he has written, then they will appreciate him. They'll try to find out who Dr. Nabu was. You understand?
Yeah.
Just last night, I was reading a book written by the late General Gaddafi. And I was so impressed. The one of Libya. He wasn't here.
He was a Kano.
He was more than a Kano, my friend.
You know, but on record,
Leave alone
Because he was behaving like a field marshal.
the man was
on
even more
record he
than
was a Kano.
Yeah,
on
I
record.
think there was
But
another
me, I
one.
see him as a general. More
So
even,
you can call Dr. Besige General, I think.
even a BSJ is more than a general, looking at his contributions.
Okay, but conclude on
Now,
that issue.
when you read Gaddafi's book, you ask yourself, it's very amazing. The man reasoned like the theorists of of Rome and Greece.
Okay.
This is what we want to happen even here.
Okay.
Don't wait for people to write for you. No, you can write on a daily basis. When you go back home, write 2 pages. Feed them into your computer. These days, even phones, you can type.
Okay.
Yes. So that is what we want. So that there is a knowledge base for other Ugandans to ride on.
Okay. You remind me of Professor Kanyehamba. He has done that very, very well.
Yes.
And we're studying his literature. Sir, what do you think about the late Dr. Frank Nawiso? How will this country remember him, and how do you remember him as a person?
I really didn't interface with him, but I think the closest I came to was not maybe 4 months ago, when again
Yeah.
there was that, what was it called?
The Kanyehamba Foundation?
Yes, the Kanyama Foundation.
Yes, I remember.
At least I had the opportunity to maybe sit next to him.
Yeah, you were next to him.
I was next to him at the high table in a discussion. So that's the only closest chance I came to him. We sat at high table when we were discussing. But I could realize he's a very smart guy, he's very intelligent. And he was very deep piercing with his views. Oh, the only thing is that I realized he seemed not to have picked or understood Museveni well. And his inability to understand Museveni well did not give him chance to work longer, if he ever worked for a short time, because he was so critical. And I could see that his criticisms were unfounded, because I had an answer to each and every criticism he was making. But because I didn't have time to reply,
Yes.
I kept quiet, but I kept noting. So I said, oh my dear, this old man has not understood his fellow old man. But looking at him, maybe the thematic concern that we can all draw is that we have personalities in Uganda who are very resourceful. Even in his critical look, you could still find resource in him, because alternative views help build society. I would be shocked if everybody was NRM. But I wouldn't be shocked if some people hold the alternative views, as long as their alternative views is scientific and objective and they believe in it. That's why you would hear people like late Dr. Kulipak, who was UPC. Whenever he would stand to talk in parliament, governments would pick a piece of paper to note down what he's saying. To the point that he was even well known as a person who removed the graduated tax. He's the one who started the philosophy that why is it there anyway? And he justified it, and other people came on board.
Yeah.
So we don't need to...
Other people meaning West.
Yes, we don't need to be in the same camp. Of course, it is my wish that as many as possible could join NRM. But in the unfortunate event that they have not joined NRM, and they're having alternative views, so be it. So Nabu was that type who was in the alternative views, but he would really believe in his alternative view, and he would explain it. Even if you see it like, in my case, I thought I had an answer to what he was raising, but he has raised it. And you never can tell, maybe many people share the same views. So rest in peace, he did his part. I'm sure you can check in the answered, his submission. I used to follow his submission in Parliament. Really, he would submit. And I think the answered is there in Parliament, because the answered is a verbative recording of what transpired, unless expunged from the book of record in Parliament. But I think all this, wasn't he in CA also? I think he was in CA as well. Actually became prominent in CA.
Okay.
So he was part of the constitutional drafters and makers. I think my memory serves me right. So he has done his part, and there is. Like my colleague is saying, how many of us would even have the capacity to reach 80 years? For him, it was 86. The way we live, the food we eat, whatever we drink and smoke, maybe we are not as disciplined to, or even the environment, if we care to live in clean environment, because hygiene, public health contributes much more than a curative health. So do we mind about our environment? Do we mind about what we drink, about what we smoke, about what we eat? So we should look up to, yes, he pushed to 86.
Wow, that's good. Thank you so much for watching. We have 4 minutes to the top of the hour of 8. You're still watching the Hotline Show. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. A couple of messages coming through here. Most of you are thanking, and you're watching live from Mubende. Yes, this is Sewan Kambo, John Lovens. You are in Dubai. Thank you so much for watching, Sewan Kambo. And everybody who's watching us this evening. There's an interesting question. You've not told me who you want to address it to. This gentleman is called Charles Wamala. He says, Doctor, I think you meant Edgar, but you said, Doctor, talk about our jailed TikTokers. They are arresting everybody. Wamala Charles, thank you so much for watching. I think this stems from the story of a gentleman recently who has been incarcerated and charged for, I think, hate speech. He's called Madubara. His real name is Juma. Yes, Juma Musuza. Juma Musuza has been remanded.
The one who was selling the shoes.
Yes, exactly. That gentleman.
Yes, I
but
know.
it's not his only story. It's not the story of Madubara alone. There are various TikTokers that have been actually charged in court and jailed for years and months. This has been happening over the space of this year. I'm going to come to you, sir. I don't know if you've understood this phenomenon of these TikTokers who are charged with offensive communication, hate speech.
They are the ones jailing them.
And they're jailing these young people over TikTok.
You see, every development creates its challenge. Even industrialization, we have the urge to industrialize, but as you industrialize, it creates air pollution. The fumes and the burning of the gas in the air becomes again a problem. In fact, threatening to kill the world. And yet you had the urge to develop the world by industrializing. And yet, in effect, you are actually killing. So every development stage has its challenges. And therefore, the society is forced to address the mischief. For example, in industrialization, you are forced to plant trees, you are forced to cut fumes, You are forced to even put now the latest vehicles as in it what is called AdBlue. AdBlue is a system that is supposed to burn the gas and not cause emission, all that thing. So in the case of digital communication, it came with its challenges also, which society needs to address the mischief. Because the role of the state is what is embodied in what the police do. The role of police is to maintain law and order. That is, if people are going to dance in Anjenoa, they dance peacefully. Those who are going to the garden, they dig peacefully. Those who are going to churches, they preach and pray peacefully. You know, you don't interfere with the right and freedom of another. Now, if a technology has come like which promotes TikTok, where you can be anywhere, record your views, and throw it in the domain, whatever freedom of speech that you have shouldn't hurt others. And now, when it hurts others, you are actually interfering the rights and the freedom of the other. And therefore, the state as the mother, the state as the father, has to arbitrate among these children. The state is above us. In social contract, the state is above us. We agreed in the social contract that we shall have a state over us. Therefore, if we are the five of us are a family, the state is above us. Say, hey, Karanga, why are you abusing Ucheno? You, Charles, why are you abusing him? You know, why are you breaking his head? Therefore, the challenge of technology, which has brought in communication in social media, also puts the task on the state to make sure that we don't abuse it, to make sure that you use it properly. Otherwise, we are free to communicate, we are free to talk, but you're not free to abuse your friend.
Okay, then that brings me to a point of what do we quantify as hate? What do you quantify as hurting? Because it feels like these arrests are subjective. You'll arrest Bigirwa because he has spoken about the speaker. You arrest Madubara because she said the speaker is mismanaging and handling the country to a drunk commander. For him, that's his perception. Why are we picking up a few people who do not say the things we like? Aren't we making this thing political?
Of course.
Rather than the real issue itself?
I've told you the philosophical point of view of the role of the state in arbitrating and controlling the society. Now, if some state actors take it upon itself to abuse that procedure, then it will be addressed as such. For example, first of all, if you arrest such a person, you charge such a person. In all criminal proceedings, there are what we call the ingredients of the offense. If the offense you have charged him won't meet the ingredient, then you have wasted your time. The person will be set free. Now, should you go ahead and manipulate an offense where it even lacks the ingredients? For example, you are saying it is hate speech, and it doesn't meet the ingredients of hate speech as specified by law, then you are wasting your time. So the person will be set free. Maybe will seek recourse to other remedies if it so wishes. But it would have been arrested in apparent look like a good intention by the state. So if we now have people who abuse state procedures, or who abuse their power, who abuse their role, then it will be picked up from there. Because even within the party will reach a point and say, no, comrade so-and-so, you're a comrade in the party, you're high ranking in the party, but what you're doing is not correct, because much as the state should regulate the constituents, should regulate the persons, you are taking that advantage. You are abusing your authority, because we have had the first case, the second case, the third case, the fourth case. It points out that you do arrest and ingredients of the offense is not met. Okay. It means you're using it to your advantage. But over and above, development in technology poses a challenge, and which the state must address its mischief. And it happens in all faculties of development.
Honorable Paula Awich from the National Resistance Movement, he's the director for the external affairs there. Are the state actors abusing that provision, as he's trying to say? Because I didn't want to ask him, I don't trust the answer you may give me, but do you think these prosecutors are abusing this prerogative really, and these charges of hate speech, are they really abusing, as he's saying?
Do you know that some of them even speak worse, they make worse insults against the old man in their bedrooms? Those guys you see arresting these young people, they make worse insults against the old man in their bedrooms, in private places.
I keep the same here. That
So,
No, but Commander Rich is going to ask you guys to provide the evidence.
but you know this.
I keep the same, that you're on
Now-
set and someone tells you, I know the country is getting down, but
It is psychophancy.
it?
It is psychophancy playing around. But I wanted to draw you to some scenarios so that you would compare and make your own judgment. Makere now spends 4 years to train an efficient journalist.
yes, 4 years now.
But those 4 years still are very inadequate. That time is still inadequate. Those journalists also make mistakes in their line of duty
Yes.
when they are putting out content.
Yes.
But they will have spent four
Years.
years training. Now, you have an ordinary citizen who wants to do almost the same work as this journalist.
Yes.
But this citizen is not even trained at all. And nobody is bothering to make him aware on how to utilize this technology.
Yes.
But instead, you turn against the citizen who is totally ignorant on how to utilize these platforms,
Yes.
media platforms. You would instead be penalizing the media platform than this individual. Because it is really, the person is ignorant. It is like if you've never studied law, and then all of a sudden you are supposed to begin appearing in court, arguing in defense of a criminal. Of course you'll make mistakes. Now this is what our ordinary citizens are being penalized for, that they have made errors, that they should be professional. Professional in what sense?
They brought the law. Computer
If
Misuse
professionals
Act.
themselves can make mistakes, huh? Even these lawyers, you've seen them accuse each other. But they have spent a number of years in school training.
But ignorance of the law is no defense.
This is what I'm trying to bring to your attention.
Yes, sir.
It is the responsibility of government to try and tap this technology and make it of good use to the citizens. Don't just let it be abused. So how do you do it? I interacted with the Ministry of ICT some, I think 2-3 years ago. And they had brought bloggers on board. Bloggers, people who use social media, had started forming their own groups, especially those with a lot of followings. And I told them it is rather better that you don't just look at how they secure advertisement from government or how they run your content as government, your propaganda, but train them. Train them, keep training them, let them also bring others, train them so that in the future there is that self-regulation on the social media.
But the government is doing that. UCC has been doing that, especially in the rural areas. Recently, they were in Kabale district, and they are training, especially young people, on how they can use technology and social media and things like that.
Yes,
so we can commend them
they
on
should,
that.
They should
Yeah.
expand the training, deepen it,
Yes.
rather than throwing these young people into jail. Now, Mr. Karuhanga, if you wanted to insult me, and you fear me because I'm strong enough, I might strangle you. If I'm not in your presence, does it stop you from insulting me? It does not. And in any case, why don't they behave like President Museveni? Museveni has left everybody. Whoever wants to insult him, let them go and insult him. Let me tell you.
But some of these people are in jail allegedly for insulting him.
No,
so
it is the sycophants.
the
That
person of
these
the
small
president.
young people who go around wanting to impress the president. I don't think President Museveni has ever ordered anybody
Are you
to
saying,
go and
are you
arrest.
saying he doesn't know that people are being arrested?
You see,
because
there are people who want to position themselves that they are doing a better job for him than others. We know these things.
Charles, is it the case that Museveni doesn't know that there are people who are being arrested because of him?
Do you know how much work that man has in a day? Because you know that he depends on micromanaging Uganda. He has too much work that he'll even forget the moment you've told him in a second.
The congressman wants just yes or
Then-
no. He wants yes or no from you.
But
so that
it
means
is-
that if it's micromanaging, then we'll not be surprised that he actually knows and maybe is instructing that this
No,
people
the
should be
problem
arrested.
are these sycophants. There are people who surround him.
I think
and
what
they
he's
want
asking is where is the thin line between the people, the sycophants you're talking about, then also Mr. Museveni himself. Because we're talking about, you are here in a place which was raided.
Museveni will remember very easily that there is a group that wants to remove him from his seat than somebody who is insulting him in Ruwewa and Sijuiwe. Those are secondary issues.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Let me come to Honorable Joseph Ocheno. What do you think about this issue of TikTokers being remanded and arrested and charged and convicted?
I am surprised that you guys were going through the administrative element of this thing. The fact is that these people are arrested, detained and charged, and some of them possibly arraigned through illegal court martials, allegedly for insulting Mr. Museveni. And the new twist has now changed my line of argument that Kume Museveni may not know these things after all. For me, actually, I was going to say, argue otherwise, that I don't think the training, going around the issue for many of these people is that they don't know how to hold the camera and say, like I struggled over a certain camera early in the day, by the way. You guys, Jim and Ken and I, those days whenever we used to talk about big things of national interest together, you used to call me technologically challenged. So you see me, I talk about my shortcomings, but those are ages ago, good olden days. so I don't think the issue is about technological challenge, nor therefore is it necessarily about IT illiteracy, both in technical terms and do's and don'ts. The issue is primarily, in these people's case, about content. And in those contents, it's not necessarily that many of these people are arrested because they're uploading maybe lurid, terrible, ethically unacceptable pictures.
No,
know?
Mr. Othino, you misunderstood.
Ucheno, yeah.
You see, the training I'm talking about, it is the language actually. A journalist will avoid certain words to be used. Let me give you an example. Do you know that today there will be an accident on Luego Road and bones are smashed, bodies are littered.
Let's not
But
go there. Yeah.
those pictures
Let's not go graphic. Yes.
In journalism, that is not acceptable.
I am very much with you, and I know what these things are all about. I am simply saying, the people, if we list the 5 top cases, maybe even 10 top cases of these guys, it's not that what they're saying they don't know. It's not the illiteracy, it's the intent. These guys intend to say this thing. My point is actually, Comrade Rich answered it quite well. It's all about the threshold, and thank you, Edgar, saying about the threshold about some of these people. These people are venting their anger. What these people are being charged for are frivolous offenses. They're very minor. Most of these people are really about citizens with basic rights to say, Mr. Museveni, we're not amused. Mr. Museveni, you possibly are backing, supporting corruption and supporting thieves. Mr. Museveni, you have 22 thieves in your cabinet. Mr. Museveni, maybe Kisozi Farm, we want to know how you obtained it. Mr. Museveni, how did you change your name from Kaguta Yoweri Museveni to the other one with a T, something like that? These are the issues. And these are facts.
And they're not big issues.
And so the thing then, whom do you pick, whom don't you pick? My view is that Comrade Rich, one of the answers that I wanted from him is really to say, and it's quite responsible, Comrade Rich, for you to say that, look, the guys who are doing this without actually being, locking yourself in, people should stop arresting and detaining people on frivolous charges. In any case, the extreme of it, from my perspective, which I was saving Mr. Museveni from, but which now I may say so, Mr. Museveni is actually the #1 abuser. This man called other leaders swines. These other people called people all sorts of names, swines, this thugs, this whatever. There is the other thing, someone was reminding me yesterday about this thing of his that he talked about leopards and mothers and things like that. These are terrible things from a head of state. So you could actually argue that if this guy uses these languages, what do you expect of a young average TikToker who's annoyed who knows that Mr. Museveni's convoy? Mr. Museveni's convoy holds these people in the streets of Kampala in a burning taxi for 7 hours. Those are the issues. And that this young person knows that this Museveni's convoy has gone, then another one, a group of his ministers who are really pompous and boasting, the choir masters that he's talking about, and they're eating their money in their billions. In the last 3 days, because I talked to many of these young guys, actually, I don't supposed to talk too much, I found 3 different young people, including this morning, young, fantastic, Munyankole girl, actually, without prejudice to these prejudices, who completed her diploma course, and she's working at a service space in town I'll not mention, and fantastic young, beautiful lady who, may she go ahead and get married very soon. She hopes to get married soon next year, but she's already engaged. But the issue is because her and her partner are looking out for waiting for money. But point is, she did a particular course and stopped at a diploma, and she says she couldn't continue and she's been wanting to upgrade because of money. And in my joking with this girl, that girl doesn't know that the government is the cause of her problem. Because for me, I studied for free. Museveni studied for free. Yeah. I have met this boy, by the way, it's official, a boy from the East who got 18 points. 18 points and is looking to do aeronautic engineering, and is stuck at home because they gave him architecture, and his father can't afford 4.5 million shillings. That's the crime. And that boy knows how much of our public money is being wasted by people, including Museveni's wife, who's in charge of education. But these guys know the privilege of what education is all about.
So the issues these TikTokers are talking about are there.
Those are the real issues. And where maybe you can actually let Museveni off, in terms of what Charles is saying, is that actually it's possible that Museveni knows these things are true. And because of his personality, and Museveni will like this, I actually give it to him that possibly he lets go, let them steam off, and that would be the argument. Let them steam off and leave them. In any case, you continue to do whatever you're doing. Now the issue is, who are these guys from UCC, or is it these overzealous guys who want to be promoted to ADs, to assistant resident district commissioners? Those are really the people. But honestly, young Ugandans being loaded in these prison spaces are being loaded and suffering for nothing.
Okay. Give that information so that we can finish.
I'll give you one example. At the peak of the scandals in the parliament.
The parliament exhibition?
Yes. A number of journalists were detained. It seems their cells at parliament at the instruction of the speaker.
By a no-nonsense sister.
In fact, one Radio 1 journalist was detained, I think, for several days until Honorable Major General Kahindo Tafiga intervened himself to instruct that they release this guy. So, some of these things are not done with direct instruction from the president.
Then let's address them as it is.
But because people he has employed have failed to deliver on their mandates, they tend to oppress the voices that are criticizing what they do.
In which case then I just conclude, because I know we're going to go on break, I conclude If then Mr. Museveni doesn't know that these things are going on, and like you said, he selectively knows. He knows somebody who's a threat to him in a particular way. He knows somebody who's seen with a bullet from a pistol or a broken pistol down the corner of Najina Nkumbi. But he does not know that young Ugandans in their hundreds are going through this. Then it's absolutely his responsibility. I suspect and I know he knows about these things. And for different other reasons, they're not giving it priority. But I think this thing should stop.
Let me listen in from you, sir, as you conclude this issue.
Charles said some of them abuse us in the room, in their bedroom. You see, this is what I was talking about, what amounts to an ingredient of an offense. If you freely speak in your bedroom, it doesn't matter to you. Yes. So this is what I was saying, that if you arrest somebody, it must be within the parameters of what law prescribes.
Precisely, yes.
So if you say some people abuse in their room, whatever you do in your room is your room. Yes. Then why come with it in the 8 million?
More than millions
so
of people.
So do it in your room. Because even me, maybe some people abuse me in their room. It doesn't matter. Now, you talk of ignorance. You know, ignorance here that you brought, ignorance of, you see, you can be law, you can be excused for ignorance of fact, but you can't be excused for ignorance of law, because the law presumes that any adult of sound mind knows what is wrong and right. And that's why anybody who goes to steal a mango will look left and right if they're seeing him picking a mango. It doesn't need to know there's a section in the penal code
that says do not steal.
Do not steal. Yeah. It doesn't need to know a section. But the fact that you look left and right. But ignorant of fact could be. But in this case, it's not ignorant of fact. For example, Karamojong, I live from the eastern part of Langwacholi, which borders Karamojong. Karamojong used to believe that cassava is never planted. So if you arrested, that is ignorance of fact. If you arrested the Karamojong for uprooting cassava to a full sack, and the court honestly believes that this man didn't know it is planted, he has not committed any offense. Except if the prosecution comes up and says, this man was cutting sugarcane in Kakira. He used to move around Kakira. He saw people planting cassava. You can't tell this court he didn't know. So unless you're saying this one who are using this machine don't know the fact, but it is ignorance of the law in that they know they are offending people. Even in their heart, they actually talk intending to hurt. They intend to hurt. And if it doesn't hurt, they will not have got the desired effect. So it can't.
Now, before you leave that point, I studied my O-level at St. Wali Kudembe, Mitara Maria. It took me about 3 years to understand what they call okujerega in Uganda. Where I come from, the words spoken in okujerega are actually insults. You can even fight and you finish each other. Eh? Somebody even talking about your mother, about anything, you can kill each other. But when it comes to Uganda, there are words that are used and it is laughter. It has nothing to do with it.
Okay, I think I've managed to differentiate between ignorance of law not defending you, but instead ignorance of fact defending you. Now, I like to say, as I go to conclusion, is that part of the cause of the mischief of this development in this industry or in this technology is that there are some people who I even believe to be abusing at a fee, that you go to the person, you tell him to abuse so and so, and you pay him. It was rumored, I don't know how true it is, to the person, this one who was killed when after the death of the minister. What was his name? This guy who was shot. This one who was shot after the minister.
The one who came from Sweden.
The one who came from Sweden.
Ichuli.
Yeah. It was widely rumored that using this technology, they actually were paid. So you'd go pay him, and he uses the technology to abuse others and tell falsehood.
You are a lawyer, so if he uses such a language, especially that is what you call abusive, if someone, for example, says that you don't understand, or you are stupid, does that equate to hate speech?
No, no. Actually, let me
Because
not say abuse. Let
yeah.
me not say abuse.
Yeah.
If he makes hate speech for that case, he is paid to make hate speech. And
No, but I'm saying,
that's what
most
I'm
of these
saying.
people-
I am saying that if you arrest such a person, the law is there. Then you, the complainant or the state, will have to prove the ingredients that actually what Ishuli said amounted to hate speech.
Okay.
If not, Ishuli will walk away.
Yeah.
So
Conclude,
I still
sir.
maintain and conclude that with the advent of this technology, the state cannot disappear from it. The state will always make a control to arbitrate. Otherwise, it will be abused. So whether you abuse a witch or you make hate speech against a witch or hate speech against Museveni, against Usieno, against Charles, the state is the control, the regulator. The state is the father.
Okay.
He will have to come in.
Thank you.
Therefore, coming in to curb TikTokers is not a bad thing.
All right.
It's
But
good.
he has not handled it.
I think we are
What
going.
is
No,
his
but
concern?
Charles,
Otieno's
the main
concerns
concern was,
are
excuse me,
that
the main
your
concern
government
was
is
for
not
Charles.
behaving
You're
responsibly.
still
That's correct,
watching,
yeah.
I
You're
will
not
address it.
delivering on services. You behave as if you own this country. It is your shop. So
Okay, I will answer that.
Okay, but I think the main issue was Charles asked a question, and I think they have responded to you. Debbie Pax, you are watching from Soroti. Thank you so much for watching. Dongo Ezra, you're watching from Kabalagala. Thank you so much for watching. And Matayo, you're watching from Lukuli. That means you are around here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's enter into a new conversation of Mr. Museveni's countrywide tours as he looks at or assesses the impact of some of his wealth-generating schemes. For example, the parish development model, Emioga, and some of those ideas that he has given Ugandans to be able to generate income for themselves. I want to start with you, sir, because... okay.
Please go ahead.
I want to start with you, sir. What is the message behind these particular tours that Mr. Museveni is going about, and what are some of the findings that he has, realized from these particular countrywide tours?
Well, I'll reserve this answer. I'll answer maybe at the conclusion. But the president is the head of state, is a fountain of honor, and is chairman of NRM. And my import of NRM is deliberate, because for him to access that office, he's a product of the party. He was a flag bearer of the party. And because he was a flag bearer of the party had a manifesto, which it marketed to the people. When people voted him, it is a direct entering into a social contract with the people that we have allowed you to govern us basing on what you have told us here in the manifesto. Therefore, as a head of state and the president, as chairman of the party, he has the discretion to move around and check, particularly if he so chooses in this particular thematic concern, a follow-up on these flagship programs. And these flagship programs came from the manifesto, what you have just listed. So it is right and fitting for him to move around and see. Maybe what I like to emphasize here is that we have, the country has different professionals, extension workers, commercial, I think there's somebody called commercial officers who are doing this disbursement of this money. Then you have the chief administrative officers. Then those in agriculture have the extension, as I've already said, in veterinary, all this. But the president is the embodiment of all those people. The president is the embodiment of all these persons in one. And what the president says, Mr. Karwanga,
Yes.
is quasi-judicial. Laws are supposed to be made by parliament. But what the president says is a half law because people believe in it. For example, if you had a president in a given country X, or even if it was in Uganda, and the president woke up and started saying, anybody who produces firstborn girl should kill, and he keeps repeating that, do you know that people will start killing their daughters?
Yeah, it becomes...
Because the words of a president is given the due weight.
Yes.
We had a situation during HIV/AIDS. You're a young man, you are not there. Do you know that people used not to talk about slim? Even if somebody appears with the symptoms, they would whisper somewhere, he has slim, he has slim. Now, it promoted a lot of infections because we couldn't go into control. It only took the intervention of President Museveni to talk about it. And you can see the weight of a president to talk, to say, look, colleagues, let us be open about this enemy. It's with us. We better talk openly about it, and we devise a way of doing it.
Okay, that is acceptable.
Yes.
What
so
are the findings that he has got from those tours, for the two sub-regions he has been to?
Yes, therefore, a president going to the field and finding out the challenges, a president going to the field and encouraging people, a president going to the field and identifying gaps is a very, very strong thing. It's the embodiment of all these other actors, agricultural officers, extension officer, commercial officer, everything. And again, it gives out the push to people who were sleeping, those who were not acting. So in a nutshell, therefore, the president's going to the field is very, very strong, and it keeps things moving.
What is in the field, sir, according to him and the NRM?
What is in the field is, one, we designed this program to work in a particular way, say at a parish level. Is it being done? And in most of these meetings, which I actually call meetings, not rallies, they are meetings. These meetings, because a rally, you just go to talk, maybe rhetoric, what we want, what you want, and then you sing if you want to sing. But these meetings that the president is having, you go to a particular place, say, how many parishes are here? This number. How much money so far have you got? This one. And yet he has his list. The people are telling me they have got this, and yet on my record, I have this. Chief Administrative Officer, what is happening? My record is showing this, the people are telling me different thing. So it is really a meeting, and you have heard it being said, the president's meetings, not the president's rallies, not political rallies. So this, to us, we believe will give a fact-finding in case somebody had falsified figures. He can play around with the RDC, he can play around with the Chief Administrative Officer, but I want to do.
So it's more about accountability, not ensuring that it's
more than
success.
Accountability. It's more than accountability. It is everything combined together. Accountability, but also a push to say, okay, you have done this good, please. Even accountability would mean like money was misused. How about in a parishes where you find money was properly used? Do you still need the accountability? No, the accountability is there, but how then do we move further from this? Maybe now you're going to get into challenges that will tell you about market. You have told us to produce Sim. We have produced it here. So what are you going to do? So it also gives in the aspect of seeing emerging issues. Emerging issues. Because as I said, you solve this problem. As you solve this problem, it creates another problem. You have, say, gone to the market of maize that you can sell posho or maize. As you produce the maize, you produce a challenge of market.
Okay.
So all these are really...
For now, let me first stop you there. Maybe you'll also paint a picture for us later on the indicators of how you've measured success. Because you're talking about the accountability, but I'm not seeing how we are measuring success of that particular ideas or those ideas. Sir, you are always on ground with what they call omuntu wa wansi, omuntu wa bulijjo. You're always on ground. Have you received the kamane? Do you see a change in the parish? For example, a case study of your parish after the 100 million. How is it so far?
Actually, women have told me, and I will not mention the parish because they may to go and arrest them. But they told me they will no longer give government their copies of their national IDs because they are tired of being fleeced by NRM or people.
Fleecing household.
Stealing from them, extorting from them, blackmailing them, every evil when it comes to a government program.
So they get their IDs, but they don't get.
Do you
the
know that
benefits.
they even steal mosquito nets from them? These guys are funny. Mosquito nets.
There were stories in locally here about mosquito nets being,
They are stolen.
taken in a way.
You ask yourself, why would somebody steal a mosquito net? Why deny somebody, a woman who has kids, a mosquito net? Why would you do it? That is how desperate some of these NRM officials can be. So when it came to parish development model, I'm aware some of the high people have been stealing their money. In another area, they have been giving money to their relatives and friends from other districts. So when Museveni says he's doing on-spot checks...
What do you mean from other districts? They get people from other parishes and they...
You know, when you become a leader of when you are given leadership of parish development model, you have your own relatives and friends.
Yes.
So what these people do, for instance, if you are in charge of a place, let's say, like Nakawa, then you invite your friends and relatives from Fort Potro, from Movende, to come and benefit.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, you say we gave out the money.
So when you're registering, you're
But
registering
the
people from Fort
people who are
Potro
supposed
to
to
be
benefit.
residents of Nakawa.
Yes. So instead of the actual beneficiaries who should be in Nakawa, the beneficiaries come from somewhere else. And you may not know how it is done, but you have to be an insider to know it.
I was thinking they give that money to circles that are in those particular
I'm
parishes.
giving you information which I get from the ground.
But you have to give us
And-
evidence. Maybe give us evidence. Yeah, that's what I'm
And in
saying.
fact,
It can be false.
and yes, it can be false.
Yeah.
To show you that I'm top of the game, some of the information I'm giving you comes from his area,
Which area?
where he stays. So which means he's not even a good or intelligence operator. So he should go back to the ground and find out. Now, that side, Museveni is not really he's not moving because of PDM. I don't want to be deceived because I'm an old person. Museveni is good at intelligence gathering, and these days he is doing it by himself because it helps him in analysis and decision making. He knows quite a number of Ugandans now have lost faith in him. So when he goes to the area, he wants to find out, establish facts by himself. Is it true these people no longer want me? If it is true, why? Because he has gotten tired of lies. So he's doing intelligence gathering to support his political ambitions. I don't think real, because you have a whole infrastructure of human resource in each village, each sub-county, each county, each district that can get you all this information. So you don't need to physically go
But
there.
you're always saying that it's these people who give him, in fact, false intelligence.
Yes.
Now
but
he has stood to go on ground.
No.
Now you're saying he's campaigning,
Let me
he's
tell
doing
you,
something.
I even me myself, I can get the correct information without going to a certain area if I wanted to. First call the RDC separately, call the DISO separately, call the chairman, call the MP, councillor. Each one will give you information, and then you tally to get the right information. You don't need to go to the area. You will know who is telling lies and who is not. You will know. But it helps him for him to do, because the man is still around. So to assess the ground himself, you do it.
Okay. Maybe when we come back, you're going to paint a picture for what can be done to, realistically improve the wealth of Ugandans. If you don't, do you even believe in the PDM itself as a mode of, generating more money for Ugandans and more wealth?
It can't work in a corrupt state.
Okay, thank you. Very good answer. Let me come to you, sir. Mr. Museveni's tours all over the country, what do they make for you?
It's a waste of public resources. And it's PR, and it's also an avenue for more thieving and stealing. In part, like Charles said, it's not necessary. Comrade Wich is a very fantastic civil servant for NRA and a very good advisor. I see Museveni doing some of what Kagame does, in part of what is being said, but more for intelligence rather than for implementations and enforcement. But clearly Museveni is doing it because his thing is sort of nearly falling apart. But yet linked to that also is that if he did that and he did it well, unfortunately to the illiterate Ugandans, that he and his policies have made sure that the illiterate, desperate, poor, and come to the stage in which, thanks to his personal merit way of doing things, nothing happens without him. So now from LC5 chairpersons to whoever is the most important person in Bugisu district, they know that nothing happens without Mr. Museveni. So everything else, talk to the president, we'll talk to the president, we'll talk to the president, give the president. So including an average bicycle in a particular corner of Bududa, after preparing for another landslide where people will go ahead and die. And so it is Mr. Museveni. So if he goes to Mbale, the guy is around, so he's going to be the gods of the floods, the god that saves the other bridge. People would even say like that lady Martha in the Bible who said, Bwana Jesus, if you were here yesterday, my brother would not have died. So, oh, Mwamukaguta, if you had arrived here 2 years ago, the floods would not have happened in Bugisu. That's what's going on.
And
partly as
just
Charles
a minute as you conclude, as you continue. Don't you see the successes of the PDM? Because there are many testimonies. And Mr. Museveni has been touring and showing the impact that these things are doing. And we're just being blind to the achievements
it's a shambolic thing. For me, even with my double glasses, I see better than I see better than an average person. And in any case, these things are some of the insights that Charles is saying. No, these are national disasters. No, these guys are doing artistic things. They're making money, they're milking money, they're draining our economy, they're draining our coffers, but at the same time, Museveni is also genuinely campaigning. Museveni is campaigning while the witches are preparing for the campaigns for next year. Sorted a many bit of a registry so that it becomes easier for us to either rig, or to justify our winning against any other forces, if you consider the threat that was faced the other day with Kyagulanyi. So who knows that, well, this time around there's Kyagulanyi, then there's perhaps a revised BSJ after the criminal kidnap thing of his gets released and other forces. And of course now with the very much younger population, who knows, the new narrative might be next year in the middle there from June to say that, well, I'm not going to vote for anybody who's older than my grandfather, and kind of stuff. And so it could be all this. So that's basically what Museveni is doing. But it's a huge amount of waste of public resource. But let me tell you this. Government policies, after the community which has done the fantastic thing that they would others do, to copy UPC's policies and programs and paste them and fight them and then run with them as a manifesto. In any case, it's not the manifesto that wins anyway. One, they really don't win most of the time. But number two, it's also about propaganda sometimes, meaning lies and because advantage of money and power and incumbency. So many other factors. So once they come into power, then they do that. once you form a government, your job is to inject money in the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Science and Technology. Inject monies there through the ministries. Things that happen in local governments, let the agencies go and run with these things. So really, most of these projects are actually possibly not even projects for RDCs. They're definitely possibly not problem for political heads, the chairperson of the districts. These are projects for technocrats. Throughout my time in primary education, I don't normally keep on saying these things. I really don't remember Bob the district education officer, district commissioner was, but we knew who the district inspector of schools was and who the district education officer was.
Okay.
You know, and things were delivered. We don't even remember you knowing who the district health officer, whatever. No, not at all. You know your local health facility. So these are things that need to be able to happen. So Mr. Museveni's convoy per day sorts out a sub-county health center, 3 equivalent, dispensary, 3, for 3 months. I mean, it just cost it. These are the researchers. So if you really look at it from that perspective, it's a huge amount of wastage of public resources.
All right.
It is also actually a waste of his own time as president. But in any case, the guy maybe is touring as the country as the last time, because some of these places are going for the last time because it's now a time, maybe he's going to retire. But last thing though, Mr. Museveni, I take exception to his insulting of the Karamojo when he did that letter as part of his tour, where he boasted that he has incarcerated 900 Karamojo petty thieves in the military thing. That was quite a huge insult to those people, and it was an indictment that, forgetting that, well, social scientists will know that petty thieves, and crime generally is always related to social issues, unemployment, economic disparities, and in many cases, cultural social bringings. So even that's the situation in Karamoja. To suggest that we are now, and that's the insult, we've taken them because we're looking after them, because we're housing them, and we're feeding them. Comrade Rich, that was a very insensitive. I don't know who advises your boss when he makes this step pronouncement, but we know that is an extremely insensitive thing by him to say, particularly knowing that he has got 22 thieves in his cabinet who were responsible for stealing Karamoja Mabati, Karamoja Bites, and Karamoja boats.
Thank you so much. Maybe you can respond to the mistrust these two individuals have that really reflects the mistrust that many Ugandans have in these particular activities that Mr. Museveni is doing. But also paint a picture for, is PDM sustainable a solution to increase the wealth of Ugandans? Or you as an individual, do you think there is a way to improve? Is there a need to improve? Or can we even drop the idea itself and come up with a new idea, sir? Yes. Okay, thank you. As we wait on you for you to respond on that particular issue, you can respond, sir.
The status of PDM and other interventions, I'll get to it. But I don't know why I see Charles like he creates scenarios, he theoretizes. For example, he creates a scenario of people being imported from other districts. I think he imagines that this is happening. I think it must be happening something.
He's tickling me for more details, but I will not provide.
So it theoretizes. And even the thing of mosquito nets, I don't know.
No, it is, if it's the mosquito nets, even in this parish we're in right now, there are mosquito nets that were stolen by some leaders.
Charles really theoretizes. And when you theoretize, you're talking to the whole world watching you in that camera, and that would not be good. We should talk of facts.
I deal with facts.
That.
No, but we asked for the evidence, sir. You did not give us the evidence.
No, you see,
actually,
and that is
because we are addressing the whole world.
He listened. Let's first listen to you.
Let me provide one more important detail.
Another theory.
Some of the officials had to resign because of that.
Which official are those?
Who resigned?
That you can't mention.
I'm telling you because I do not want to put people
but
in
resignation
problems.
is public.
You understand how these guys
but
operate?
Charles,
yes,
resignation
yes,
is public.
I have told you, people were imported. from Mubende and registered in Wakiso.
Okay, let's first listen to him. Sir, please.
Anyway, I still want to say, whoever has resigned, that is a public matter. You don't resign.
These
as
guys
a
are
secret.
thugs. You think they're
Now,
normal people?
There's something that was talked about, indicators of the success.
Yes, the indicators
The
and how you're
indicators-
measuring success.
The indicators are already part of the testimony that is coming. People come up and said, I got this amount of money, now I am at this. People come up and said, I bought this number of ends, for example, now I'm at this. This group come up and said, we had this money as a group at this, now we are this. So the figures don't lie. The indicators are clear.
Is this a sustainable mode?
The only thing that, for the sustainability, we need to work on. For example, last week when I was in Gulu, I had the opportunity to go for a graduation function of a vocational institution. And this is part of the sustainability, because we discovered that even in society, there are people who even fear to go and get the money because they don't know how to use it. But in this vocational training that I graduated people, we're graduating them with giving them a tailoring machine. You are graduating them with giving them a machine for welding. You are graduating them, with such kind of thing. Therefore, this continues in the sustainability in that the person who gets money, the one, and he has his tailoring machine, you definitely see that he has got additional capital to continue. So the sustainability is there.
Okay.
One, it can be sustained if, in the case that it is envisaged as a revolving fund, people will pay back. But
are they even paying back?
Yes,
they are
but
complaining
also
of
in
how
the
they are
event,
not paying back.
Depending on how it is, government can still design more. Because, for example, we are now about to design a new manifesto for 2026. And therefore, we can see the gaps there, and we put in provisions for sustainability.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm going to come to you because we are coming to the end of this particular conversation. I'm going to start with you, Honorable Cheno Joseph. As you give us your parting shots, I want you to also comment on the sustainability, or give us an alternative mode. As UPC, if you are at the helm of this country, how best would you improve the livelihoods of Ugandans to be able to really be wealthy, not just talk about it in the hypothesis or wish it into existence, but actually build a capacity of a Ugandan who's going to be really wealthy?
There's never been a time when a UPC leader has spoken to this country about matters pertaining to this country, and they've spoken froth. We talk issues, we mean them, their substances, evidence-based, and in many cases, based on our experiences and track record, but substantially driven by our convictions. A future UPC government would jail all public thieves. A future UPC government would ensure that there is also a mini threshold by which if a public thief is found to have stolen a certain amount of money beyond which they're banned from public services for life, or perhaps also participating, including the political processes. A future UPC government would save this country the 10 trillion per annum, complete, because there's evidence we never kind of stuff. And just think what 10 trillion would do.
That's a lot
A
of
future UPC government would reduce the number of these tribal chieftaincy and sometimes constituency for interest patronage districts by possibly right now more than 60%. A future UPC government, therefore, would save hugely in that sense. But its future UPC government would reduce the number of cabinet ministries by no less than 60%.
But how would you employ that money that we have saved?
That's what I'm telling you.
How would you employ it?
I already guaranteed to you that one, first of all, get the money, but you see what we do first.
Yes, I'm seeing how you're getting the money.
No, but first of all, partly that is getting the money, partly that is saving the money. It's not yet even about getting the money. So we'll do that. And finally, future UPC government, after that cabinet, would ensure that all ministers and deputy ministers drive the same type of cars. Same type of cars. And the future UPC government would kill all this nonsense about convoys.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Just see how much money you
But
get.
you've not given me the solution. And because of time, I want you to give me the solution so that these people can also
just allow me to do it. And since I'm the politician here, it's important really for your viewers.
And time, please. Yes,
and we are really real-time based. UPC has governed this country for 12 years and delivered all the miracles. Their 40 years have been nothing. A future UPC government, therefore, would also reduce presidential fleets by 80% in the very minimum. And the future UPC government would ensure that no first lady is a minister. And the future UPC government would narrow down the first ladies.
Long. You're going to wait for
No, it's not. It's not. And if it's long and serves the purpose of this program, so be it.
time.
You know. That said, a future UPC government would invest directly in education, directly in health, directly in agriculture, directly in infrastructure, directly in industry, directly in value addition to our industry. When I read some of these things, because we talk about time, the things that we did, including the industrial sector, including Maitoro, which was the second largest industrial city after Jinja, you know, it's such that you transform these things to the extent, therefore, that a president does not have to make some of these trips that Mr. Museveni does in order for people to realize and feel it. And of course, that future UPC government will ensure that most of the young people who go and become graduates don't really get jobs. But there is no Ugandan child who qualifies to get a university position, is available and willing to get into university education, and they don't qualify. They're not able to go to do so simply because of money.
Thank you so much, sir. Charles, your parting shots.
Parting shots, or you asked for solutions?
Parting shot, but you can also give us a solution, maybe. If you can put it in
because
you have 2 minutes.
We need solutions. We have a challenge, and the challenge is that we are being governed on the Cold War thinking. So it is a Cold War mentality, which is not changing. So President Museveni and his people are not adapting to the new world. The top-bottom approach cannot work. It should be bottom-top approach. Who developed the parish development model? Is it a one-size-fits-all? In Bushen, you remember at the beginning, those guys even said, we don't need your monies. For us, what we want is to make sure that our tea gets to the market, because we get enough money. The people that own cattle, the same. So the challenge has been that a few individuals develop policies and impose them on the population.
Yes.
Yet, challenges should come from the people.
Okay.
And the people also even know the solutions to their challenges. So the system of governance has to change from top-bottom to bottom-top.
Exactly. Thank you so much. I buy into that idea too. Sir, your parting shot as we come to the end of this discussion.
My parting shot is that we took time to discuss and consult and came up with these interventions. We just want to be given time. It will translate into the livelihoods of people. It will translate to the food on the table. It will translate into good health, into affording school fees. It's a question of time. And that is what we're gearing. And already testimonies are coming. And as I always say, the happiness will come. I always tell you that in East Africa, Uganda has the highest happiness-ogram. So all these interventions, testimonies are already showing it will translate into food on the table.
Thank you. It's 9 p.m. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga. We shall see you soon. Please do follow us on our social media platforms at The Alternative Uganda, at Digitalk TV. See you again very, very soon from the entire team. Good night and God bless Uganda.